At some point in time, it makes sense to renovate in your portfolio. Now, you would reach that when the market is at a certain point, such as going sideways, or it could be that you are in a position in your portfolio where you've got your baseline portfolio in place and you're now trying to create value. So let's have a look at why we would want to renovate. Obviously, one of the key ones would be to protect your capital, particularly in a market that's going sideways or if it is slowing down. You would want to renovate your property. Obviously, buying well to begin with, you'd renovate the property to make sure you're forcing the growth up so that your loan to value ratio across your portfolio remains stable. Now, a key element that we need to make sure that we address in this strategy is obviously that there are a lot of properties that are available where they're marketed as renovation potential or handyman special. And obviously, a lot of these properties may well be overpriced by the time you add in the cost for renovation, the time it takes to renovate, and certainly the time it takes away from your weekends if you're doing it yourself, or certainly the time it takes for you to organize trades. So you don't want to be paying a premium just to get a renovation potential property. You need to compare it with other properties that are already renovated or don't need renovation and make sure that the property that you're buying is well below that, so that by the time you've done the renovation, you've brought the property up to that speed. So why would you renovate? Obviously, one is to protect your capital. The other is to, of course, increase your yield. So in other words, the increase in yield may be something as simple as being able to locate a suitable tenant a lot faster because the property is a lot more attractive, or certainly allowing you to command a premium rent in that area if you have done a good enough renovation. The third reason you would renovate, obviously, is to actually retire debt. Now, this is your end stage strategy where you are specifically going out to buy these properties with the idea being to either renovate to sell down or renovate to increase equity and therefore eventually paying down your portfolio. So what do we look for in a renovation potential property? Obviously, we want to start with the streetscape because it is one thing that you don't have a huge degree of control over. So you want to be making sure that when you are looking from the property from the curb inwards, that there are some relatively small changes that you can make which make these properties very attractive. Simple things such as adding a fence, simple things such as painting the facade, and putting in some nice gardens around the property to give it that nice look as you are viewing it from the curb. Then we need to be looking at the money suckers within the renovation. These are things that you would need to do, but does not necessarily add value to the property. A really good example of this would be the wiring within the property. So if your wiring is relatively old, so in other words, you've bought a much older property and you need to replace all of the wiring, that does not increase the value of the property because it's not something you can see with the naked eye. It's not something that is a value add in itself apart from a safety point of view, and therefore it does not increase the value of the property. Another idea would be the plumbing. So let's say you had the old galvanized plumbing within the property and you then from a ethical point of view are changing it to more modern fixtures. That does not necessarily increase the value of the property at all. A good example of one of the properties we've done recently is where we had to change the roof of the property. The roof was a tin roof and it was full of holes, and we had to it was more economical to actually replace the whole roof than to try and repair it. Now, whilst it made the property a lot more safe and sound and gave it longevity, it did not necessarily increase the value of the property substantially. And the reason being that we as occupants, we as purchasers, and we as renters expect to find a roof above a property. and therefore it does not add significant value. Value add properties would be ones where you are doing cosmetic renovations, changing kitchens, changing bathrooms, flooring, paint and carpet. This way, you're not caught in with council in terms of approvals. You are also able to manage the process a lot more easier. You're able to stage the renovations so that you have got the right trades coming in at the right time, so that the whole process takes a lot less time than it would if it was not managed properly. So if you're looking at renovation as a strategy, whether to retire debt or whether to increase the value of your properties, one of the key things that we need to look at is obviously shying away from things that you can't control, such as the streetscape, where you cannot change the streetscape. The second thing, it would be to shy away from the money suckers, such as dodgy wiring and plumbing, and stick to the simple cosmetic renovations where you can add value immediately and in line with the market and renovate to the potential of the market and not necessarily to your taste.